Let's start by being completely honest with each other. For so many women, there's one area of intimacy that feels equal parts exciting and intimidating. It might be something you've done before, maybe even many times, but even with experience, it can still stir up that little voice inside that says, am I doing this right? Is he enjoying it? Do I look confident or do I look awkward? That voice is normal. In fact, it's almost universal. Most women at some point have wrestled with nerves in moments of intimacy. Some feel nervous about their body, others feel unsure about their skills, and many are simply afraid of being judged. And for a moment, all of that self-consciousness can bubble up and eclipse everything else. But here's the part nobody really says out loud. That nervous energy isn't something to be ashamed of. It's not proof you're bad at intimacy. It's proof you care. It's proof you're present. And with a small shift in perspective, what once felt like weakness can become your superpower. Think about it for a second. Nervousness and excitement are actually made of the same physical ingredients. The racing heartbeat, the butterflies in your stomach, the heightened sensitivity. The only difference between nerves and thrill is the label you put on it. The chemistry in your body is already there, charged, glowing, alive. You can call it anxiety or you can claim it as electricity. Now imagine what happens when you view that sensation not as fear but as magnetism. Suddenly, you're not the nervous woman second guessing herself. You're the captivating woman whose charged energy fills the space, that little rush in your chest. That's presence. That's you signaling without words, I'm here, I'm alive in this moment. And believe me, that kind of presence is irresistible. The truth is, men aren't scanning for perfect skills like a movie critic with a clipboard. What really overwhelms them, what makes them remember you long after, is your energy, your attention, your confidence. And here's the paradox: when you stop trying to bury your nerves and instead let that energy become part of your authenticity, you shine brighter. Think back to a time when you were about to do something thrilling, maybe a first kiss, stepping onto a stage, walking into a new job. You probably felt nervous then too, but that trembling energy wasn't proof you were failing. It was proof you were about to step into something powerful. Intimacy works the same way. So if you've ever caught yourself worrying, what if I don't know enough? What if I'm not unforgettable? The answer is that you already have the raw material inside you. You don't need to perform. You don't need to copy what you've seen somewhere else. You just need to channel that natural electricity you already carry. And this is where our conversation really begins. Because once you understand that nervousness is not the enemy, but the doorway to empowerment, everything changes. Instead of shrinking under the spotlight, you get to expand. Instead of worrying if you're good enough, you realize you are the main event. So let's take that whispered insecurity, the one that made you click on this video, and flip it completely. You are not at a disadvantage. You are holding one of the most powerful tools for connection and desire a woman can have. The secret nobody told you now. Here's the secret piece that almost nobody tells women. Nervousness, when understood, isn't something you hide, it's something you use. Because in intimacy, what a man remembers isn't just what you did, it's how he felt around you. If your energy is electric, present, alive, that's what lingers in his memory. This is where the hidden advantage comes in. Too many women think confidence means never feeling nervous, but that's a myth. True confidence means you understand how to transform nervous energy into magnetic energy. It means your presence takes up space. It means he feels both comforted and captivated in your company. And the best part, you don't need to force anything. You don't need a script or a fantasy persona. The secret is already inside you. It's that flutter in your chest, that sharp awareness of the moment. Instead of fighting it, claim it. Let it fuel your expressions, your touch, your gaze. Because when he senses that fearless honesty, that you are right there, fully present, fully you, it makes him feel seen in a way that cannot be faked. It's more powerful than external tricks because it strikes deeper. It touches both body and heart. That's why this video isn't really about techniques in the basic sense. Yes, in a moment we'll explore 5 expert moves, but make no mistake, they aren't just moves. They are vehicles for energy. They're ways of channeling your natural magnetism so that what you do feels unforgettable to him. But even more importantly, empowering for you. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly how to flip the script. You'll see that intimacy is not about chasing approval, not about measuring yourself against some imagined standard, but about embodying your power. So stay with me. Each of the 5 moves you're about to learn acts like a door, opening into a new depth of sensual authority. And together they'll reframe not just how he sees you, but how you see yourself. You'll realize that every moment of uncertainty you've ever had was never a weakness. It was always the very thing that, once harnessed, could turn you into the woman he'll never forget. Expert move 1, the art of slowing down, why speed kills chemistry. Let's start by challenging one of the most common habits in intimacy: rushing. So many women, especially when they feel a little nervous, try to move through intimacy quickly. The thought process is something like, if I can just get to the part that makes him feel good fast, I'll do a good job, be happy, I won't mess it up. On the surface, that sounds logical. After all, the goal is pleasure, then faster should mean better, right? But in reality, the opposite is true. When you rush, you rob the moment of its most powerful ingredient: anticipation. Think about your favorite meal. Yes, the food itself tastes amazing, but half the experience is in the waiting, the smell wafting through the air, watching it being prepared, knowing something delicious is coming but not having it yet. That anticipation actually heightens the eventual payoff. The same principle applies in intimacy. When you move too fast, you skip the build-up. You skip the moment where his awareness sharpens, where his breath deepens, where he realizes that you're not just going through motions, you're leading him into an experience. Speed can get a short reaction, sure, but slowing down is what ignites obsession. Now let's dig deeper. Why does slowing down work? It's not just about teasing, it's about creating psychological intensity. When you take your time, your partner can't predict your next move. His brain goes on high alert. He's not only feeling physical sensation, he's hanging on to where you'll take him next. That unpredictability builds tension like a drumbeat steadily getting louder. Science even supports this. Anticipation activates reward centers in the brain more strongly than instant gratification. In other words, the wait is often more stimulating than the reward itself. But here's the most important part about refusing to speed through intimacy: it tells him something powerful about you. Rushing suggests you're nervous, self-conscious, or simply trying to get it over with. Slowing down communicates the opposite. It says, I'm confident, I'm fully here, I'm in no hurry, because I know I'm in control of this moment. Imagine the mental shift he experiences when he feels you pacing things with intention instead of racing. Instead of thinking, she's doing this for me, he starts realizing she's leading this, she's enjoying this, I'm caught in her rhythm. That right there is magnetism. So the first secret is this: if you want to create intensity and power in intimacy, stop trying to be fast. Stop chasing the quick reaction, the instant that feels good. Instead, slow down, breathe, create silence, pauses, gentle transitions. Let the energy build like a movie trailer that leaves him desperate for opening night. When you slow down, you're not just giving him pleasure, you're giving him the gift of yearning. And nothing draws someone closer than that invisible pull of not yet, but it's coming. Reclaim your rhythm. Here's the beautiful truth: slowing down isn't only about him, it's about you stepping fully into your own rhythm. Too often, women are taught to follow his cues, follow what they think men want, follow a script. But real power comes when you stop following and start leading. And leading begins with controlling the pace. When you slow the pace, you're reclaiming the rhythm of intimacy. Instead of being reactive, answering his movements, waiting for his signals, you're setting the tempo. You're letting him know that this experience is guided by your confidence, not by his expectation. Think about how you feel when a song slows down unexpectedly. Your awareness spikes. You lean in, waiting for the next beat to drop. That's exactly the kind of atmosphere you create when you claim your rhythm. He feels like he's on a ride that only you control, and that's intoxicating. This doesn't mean you need to be dramatic or theatrical. It simply means you no longer measure your worth by how quickly you can deliver pleasure. Instead, you measure it by how present you are in the journey. Slowing down allows you to savor, to breathe, and to connect. That grounded energy transfers directly to him. And here's the thing most women overlook: timing itself is seductive. A pause, a hesitation, a lingering touch. These are micro moments full of tension. They send signals more powerful than rushing ever could. They whisper confidence. They whisper, I'm enjoying this as much as you are. I don't need to prove myself. I own this moment. So if you've ever felt afraid of taking the lead, let slowing down be your gateway. You don't need to shout dominance. You just need to control the pace. Because whoever controls the timing controls the experience. Reclaiming your rhythm is reclaiming your power. He won't forget the physical feeling, yes, But more than anything, he'll remember the way you seemed absolutely unshakable in the moment. And that memory will stay with him long after, making him crave not just the experience, but you. Expert move 2, mastering touch and intention. Your hands aren't just tools. When most people think about intimacy, they immediately imagine the most obvious elements: lips, mouths, chemistry, sparks. But here's something: most women downplay the power of their own hands. Hands aren't just tools that accompany a moment. They're extensions of your energy. They speak a language of their own, one that communicates safety, intention, and authority without saying a single word. And when you learn to value touch as more than a background detail, you discover how influential your presence can become. Think of how a comforting hand on your shoulder can dissolve stress, or how a playful tap can spark laughter. Those everyday touches carry meaning far deeper than someone might realize in the moment. In the same way, during intimacy, intentional touch can say, "I see you. I'm confident. I'm not here just to perform. I'm here with you." This is where the magic lies. Touch isn't about getting somewhere. It's about anchoring the moment. Your hands allow you to guide, to amplify, to stretch out anticipation. Imagine drawing slow, deliberate patterns. Imagine lingering for just a moment longer than expected. Every shift in pressure or rhythm reminds him you're present, you're aware, you're leading. This isn't about multitasking. It's about reminding yourself that your energy is expressed through more than one channel. When your presence is in your eyes, your voice, your pace, and your hands, you create a full body communication that's impossible to ignore. And here's the real secret: men often crave not just sensation, but the reassurance of presence. The way you touch him confirms you're not distracted or detached. It tells him he's not simply being pleased, but being chosen. Receiving focus, that's powerful beyond words. Intention in the hands also reveals confidence. It shifts you from passive to active, no longer just there, but guiding, shaping, leading. Even the simplest gesture, when done with calm assurance, feels magnetic, because what he feels beneath the touch is not only skin, but the energy of you owning the moment. So stop undervaluing your touch. See it as an amplifier of everything else. Your hands are not just tools. They're power, authority, and elegance combined, an undercurrent of energy that can elevate the entire experience from simple contact into unforgettable presence. Confidence lives in intention. Now, let's strip away one huge point of pressure: technique. So many women feel they need to learn precise tricks or flawless sequences to impress. That mindset is exhausting and unnecessary, because the most captivating thing you can bring to intimacy has nothing to do with perfect moves. It's all about intention. Here's what I mean. Imagine being on the receiving end, a touch that feels anxious or mechanical. Even if the technique is technically correct, the energy feels uneasy, rushed, or uncertain. The result might be okay, but it won't be memorable. Now flip that. Imagine a slower, simpler touch, but charged with purpose. Every movement feels deliberate, unhurried, confident. You sense the person is fully there, guiding with assurance instead of guessing. That is what lingers in memory. This is why your mindset matters more than mechanics. When you let go of "am I doing this right?" and shift instead into "I mean every moment of this," everything changes. You stop second guessing. You stop performing. You show up with confidence. And here's the paradox: when you lead with intention, the small things naturally look like mastery. That's because presence is magnetic. A woman who slows down, notices her partner's reactions, and purposefully guides the moment feels like an expert, even without complicated moves. So how do you get there? You choose to treat each touch as an expression of ownership. You pause instead of rushing. You breathe deeply into the moment. You remind yourself, "I'm not performing, I'm leading. I'm not waiting for approval, I'm shaping this." When you embody that truth, nervousness shrinks, doubt fades. What radiates is clarity, and clarity is what reads as fearlessness. That's why confidence doesn't live in technique. It lives in the way you carry yourself. It lives in how intentional you are, how much presence and sincerity flows into each movement. And a man on the receiving end of that, he doesn't just experience pleasure, he experiences you. And that is what leaves him thinking about you long after the moment ends. Expert move 3, teasing as power play, anticipation as desire. There's a reason the phrase, "the thrill of the chase," exists. Human beings are wired to crave what we don't instantly have. Desire is not built in the moment of receiving, it's built in the tension of waiting. And this is exactly why teasing is one of the most powerful sensual moves you can ever use. But here's where many women get caught. They think teasing is just stalling, as if it means dragging things out unnecessarily or being manipulative. That's not what true teasing is about. True teasing is about engineering desire. It's about awakening his imagination so powerfully that he becomes consumed by you. Let's think more broadly for a moment. Why are movie trailers so effective? They never show you everything. They give you tiny glimpses, flashes of excitement, hints of what's coming next. Those previews are designed to make your brain scream, "I can't wait, when is this coming out?" The full story is withheld, yet anticipation skyrockets. In intimacy, you can think of teasing as your preview phase. Instead of rushing to the end, you spark curiosity. You allow pauses and near moments. You show enough to fire up his senses, but hold back just enough to leave him desperate for more. Done right, this doesn't frustrate him, it hypnotizes him. And here's where the psychology gets fascinating. Anticipation is dopamine driven. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter of desire, and it spikes not when we get the reward, but when we think the reward is coming. That on-edge state is what actually drives longing. When you tease, you're essentially activating his reward system over and over, priming him to see you as the source of that intoxicating rush. But teasing also communicates something far more powerful than sensation. It communicates control. When you take your time, when you offer just enough but not the whole, you send the message, "I decide the pace, I decide the rhythm." This puts you in the role of the director, not a background character. And nothing is more unforgettable than a woman who leads the energy instead of rushing to please. Refuse to feel guilty about making him wait. Instead, remind yourself teasing is generosity. You're not withholding, you're heightening. You're giving him the chance to feel each second more vividly, to live in the suspense, to crave you with an intensity that straightforward speed could never create. Think about it from his perspective. A moment of pause makes him lean in. A smile that says "not yet" makes his mind race with what will happen next. A lingering touch in one place while holding back from the next leaves him caught in a loop of curiosity, so strong he's thinking about you, not just during but long after. This is why teasing becomes unforgettable. You're not only creating physical anticipation, you're planting an emotional craving. You're teaching him without words what you give cannot be rushed or predicted. And because anticipation is addictive, he's left not just satisfied when the moment arrives, he's left craving the experience of you. So here's the truth: teasing is not hesitation. Teasing is mastery. It transforms a fleeting encounter into a story that keeps replaying in his mind, and that is the kind of memory that cements you as extraordinary. Owning contrast. Now, let's take teasing one step further and unlock its twin secret: contrast. Because as powerful as anticipation is, it multiplies its effect when paired with contrast, the unexpected switching between soft and bold, gentle and intense, slow and commanding. Here's why. The human brain craves surprise. When something follows a predictable pattern for too long, the brain adapts and the excitement levels out. But when the pattern is broken, sudden surprise, a shift in energy, it lights up again. That's why contrast in intimacy is unforgettable. It jolts his senses and sparks powerful memories. Imagine you begin with light, playful touches, teasing carefully, making him lean forward, straining for more. He gets used to the soft rhythm, his body tuned into the suspense. Then suddenly you switch gear, confident, decisive, assured. The contrast shocks his nervous system, and the intensity of pleasure doubles instantly. This isn't about playing a performance. It's about knowing that blending energies, soft with bold, slow with sudden confidence, creates a roller coaster of sensations that keeps him locked in. Instead of flatline pleasure, you're giving him peaks and valleys, suspense and payoff. And those dramatic contrasts are exactly what his brain clings to afterward. For you as a woman, this is also liberating. It means you never have to choose between being playful or being powerful. You can be both. Sometimes within the same minute, you can smile and tease, then flip into leading with authority. You can keep him guessing, never sure what's coming next. That unpredictability makes you magnetic. The beauty of contrast is that it doesn't require complexity. It requires confidence to pause, to switch rhythms, to surprise him. When you own that, you show him you're fearless in intimacy, not trapped in one persona, but free, multi-dimensional, dynamic. And this is why contrast sticks in his memory. Long after, he won't just remember what happened. He'll remember the roller coaster he felt with you. He'll replay how you kept him guessing, The way you flowed from soft playfulness into unstoppable confidence. That unpredictability transforms you from a nice experience into an unforgettable one. So stop trying to be consistent. Consistency is for routines. Magnetism is in the contrast. And when you learn to blend tease with surprise, the memory of you doesn't fade. It intensifies with time. Expert move for eye contact and emotional connection. Why being seen unlocks desire. Zeddy 8 in 50 words. Let's talk about one of the most underestimated forces in intimacy, being seen. Eye contact at its core is more than just a look. It's a conversation. Without saying anything, your eyes can communicate presence, confidence, desire, affection, even playfulness. And when you bring your gaze into intimacy, something almost magical happens. The physical shifts into the emotional. The truth is, many women shy away from eye contact in intimate moments. Why? Because it feels vulnerable. Deep eye contact can feel like someone is peering into your soul, and that level of exposure is scary. You might wonder, what if I look awkward? What if he sees my insecurity? But here's the secret. That vulnerability is exactly what makes it powerful. For a man, being on the receiving end of steady, intentional eye contact can be overwhelming in the best way. It makes him feel chosen. It makes him feel claimed. Suddenly, he's not just lost in sensation. He's tethered to you emotionally, locked into the reality that you are fully there with him. Think about the rare times in life when someone held your gaze and didn't look away. Maybe in a conversation when they really listened. Maybe during a moment of tension when everything else in the room disappeared. That memory probably stuck, even years later, because eye contact creates intensity. It forces presence. And in intimacy, that intensity translates into desire. Here's what most people miss. Men may often present themselves as confident or in control, but underneath, many crave this depth of connection. They crave a woman who sees them, not just their body, but them as a person. When you lock eyes, you give him something rare, the feeling of being both desired and accepted in the same instant. That combination shakes him more than any physical act ever could. But here's the nuance. Eye contact doesn't mean staring like a statue. It's not about unbroken intensity. It's about weaving your gaze in at just the right moments and then glancing away, letting the tension breathe. That ebb and flow mirrors presence itself. It's alive. It adapts. It has rhythm. Why does this matter? Because when you risk being fully seen, you give him permission to let go too. Your steady presence tells him, you don't have to hold back. I see you. I want you. I'm right here with you. It's like an emotional anchor grounding the entire experience. And psychology backs this up. Studies show that eye contact activates the brain's bonding chemicals. It creates closeness, trust, and emotional safety. The very thing many women fear, what if he sees me too deeply, is the thing that paradoxically makes him powerless to forget you. So the next time you feel nervous, reframe it this way. Eye contact is not a window into your flaw. It's a spotlight on your presence. To him, your gaze says, I'm confident enough to hold you here. You don't have to wonder where I stand. You know I'm with you. Presence, after all, is what sets magnetic women apart. Look at him in those moments, and you'll see how quickly eye contact turns into something unforgettable, not because of what you're doing physically, but because of how fully you allowed yourself to be seen. The playful power of presence. Now, let's address the fear many women have. What if eye contact just makes it awkward? The answer is beautifully simple. You weave playfulness into it. Eye contact doesn't always have to be soulful or serious. In fact, the most captivating gazes are the ones that mix drama with a spark of mischief. Think about when you glance at someone, then smirk like you're in on a secret. That micro expression flips the energy from heavy to irresistible, or raising your eyebrows subtly as if to say, oh yes, I know exactly what I'm doing. Tiny playful signals like that transform eye contact from intimidating into magnetic. Magnetism isn't about holding tension every second. It's about balancing depth with levity. A well-timed grin, a breathy chuckle, or that sly, knowing smile keeps the connection human and fun. You don't feel like you're performing a scene out of a romance novel. You feel like you're both co-conspirators in something exciting. This does more than ease your nerves. It also sweeps his mind completely into the moment, because now the gaze isn't just serious intimacy. It's flirtation, it's play. It's undeniably personal. And that blend of fun and heat is what makes the memory replay in his head later. And here's the best part, playfulness is also confidence. It shows him you're not attached to perfection. You're not worried about looking flawless. You're relaxed enough to smile in the middle of passion. That freedom to be yourself is what makes a woman unforgettable. So don't overthink the gaze. Make it personal. Make it playful. Let it breathe. Think of it as punctuation, sometimes a period, sometimes an exclamation, sometimes an ellipsis that leaves him guessing. When eye contact becomes playful presence, it stops being scary. It becomes your signature. It says, I'm here, I'm powerful, I'm having fun with this energy, and you're lucky to be in it with me. And trust me, no man forgets the woman who looked at him with both fearless depth and a mischievous glint in her eye. That balance is everything. Expert move 4, eye contact and emotional connection, why being seen unlocks desire. Let's talk about one of the most underestimated forces in intimacy, being seen. Eye contact at its core is more than just a look. It's a conversation. Without saying anything, your eyes can communicate presence, confidence, desire, affection, even playfulness. And when you bring your gaze into intimacy, something almost magical happens. The physical shifts into the emotional. The truth is, many women shy away from eye contact in intimate moments. Why? Because it feels vulnerable. Deep eye contact can feel like someone is peering into your soul. And that level of exposure is scary. You might wonder, what if I look awkward? What if he sees my insecurity? But here's the secret. That vulnerability is exactly what makes it powerful. For a man, being on the receiving end of steady, intentional eye contact can be overwhelming in the best way. It makes him feel chosen. It makes him feel claimed. Suddenly, he's not just lost in sensation. He's tethered to you emotionally, locked into the reality that you are fully there with him. Think about the rare times in life when someone held your gaze and didn't look away. Maybe in a conversation when they really listened. Maybe during a moment of tension when everything else in the room disappeared. That memory probably stuck even years later, because eye contact creates intensity. It forces presence. And in intimacy, that intensity translates into desire. Here's what most people miss. Men may often present themselves as confident or in control, but underneath, many crave this depth of connection. They crave a woman who sees them, not just their body, but them as a person. When you lock eyes, you give him something rare, the feeling of being both desired and accepted in the same instant. That combination shakes him more than any physical act ever could. But here's the nuance. Eye contact doesn't mean staring like a statue. It's not about unbroken intensity. It's about weaving your gaze in at just the right moments and then glancing away, letting the tension breathe. That ebb and flow mirrors presence itself. It's alive. It adapts. It has rhythm. Why does this matter? Because when you risk being fully seen, you give him permission to let go too. Your steady presence tells him, you don't have to hold back. I see you, I want you, I'm right here with you. It's like an emotional anchor grounding the entire experience. And psychology backs this up. Studies show that eye contact activates the brain's bonding chemicals. It creates closeness, trust, and emotional safety. The very thing many women fear. What if he sees me too deeply? Is the thing that paradoxically makes him powerless to forget you. So the next time you feel nervous, reframe it this way. Eye contact is not a window into your flaw. It's a spotlight on your presence. To him, your gaze says, I'm confident enough to hold you here. You don't have to wonder where I stand. You know I'm with you. Presence, after all, is what sets magnetic women apart. Look at him in those moments, and you'll see how quickly eye contact turns into something unforgettable, not because of what you're doing physically, but because of how fully you allowed yourself to be seen. The playful power of presence. Now, let's address the fear many women have. What if eye contact just makes it awkward? The answer is beautifully simple. You weave playfulness into it. Eye contact doesn't always have to be soulful or serious. In fact, the most captivating gazes are the ones that mix drama with a spark of mischief. Think about when you glance at someone, then smirk like you're in on a secret. That micro-expression flips the energy from heavy to irresistible, or raising your eyebrows subtly as if to say, oh yes, I know exactly what I'm doing. Tiny playful signals like that transform eye contact from intimidating into magnetic. Magnetism isn't about holding tension every second, it's about balancing depth with levity. A well-timed grin, a breathy chuckle, or that sly, knowing smile keeps the connection human and fun. You don't feel like you're performing a scene out of a romance novel. You feel like you're both co-conspirators in something exciting. This does more than ease your nerves. It also sweeps his mind completely into the moment. Because now, the gaze isn't just serious intimacy. It's flirtation, it's play, it's undeniably personal. And that blend of fun and heat is what makes the memory replay in his head later. And here's the best part, playfulness is also confidence. It shows him you're not attached to perfection. You're not worried about looking flawless. You're relaxed enough to smile in the middle of passion. That freedom to be yourself is what makes a woman unforgettable. So don't overthink the gaze. Make it personal. Make it playful. Let it breathe. Think of it as punctuation, sometimes a period, sometimes an exclamation, sometimes an ellipsis that leaves him guessing. When eye contact becomes playful presence, it stops being scary. It becomes your signature. It says, I'm here, I'm powerful, I'm having fun with this energy, and you're lucky to be in it with me. And trust me, no man forgets the woman who looked at him with both fearless depth and a mischievous glint in her eye. That balance is everything. Expert move 5, the whisper of influence. Your voice is touch. Think for a moment about the power of sound. A certain song can make your heart ache with nostalgia. A single phrase said at the right time can inspire you for weeks. Now imagine applying that same principle inside intimacy. This is where your voice becomes your secret, underestimated weapon. Because here's the truth, your voice isn't just noise. It's touch, it vibrates, it lingers, it leaves imprints in memory. A soft phrase, lowered tone, or subtle whisper can pierce deeper than any surface action because it doesn't just enter his body, it enters his mind. Why is whispering so powerful? First, it draws focus. When you whisper, you create scarcity. He has to lean in, tune closely to every sound. His awareness sharpens. His attention goes completely to you. And remember, attention is desire. Second, the voice carries emotional weight. The slight breathiness of a whisper feels intimate, private, secretive. It conveys, this is just for you, no one else. That kind of exclusivity is addictive. It makes him feel not only turned on, but uniquely chosen. And third, a whisper disrupts expectation. Most conversation happens at normal volume, but when you lower your voice, you create contrast, sudden intensity. That unpredictability sparks curiosity, locks him into the moment, and makes your presence unforgettable. Here's the key shift. Instead of seeing words as pressure, what should I say? Start seeing them as an extension of presence. It's not about performing lines. It's about letting your tone, pace, and authenticity become a second layer of connection. This doesn't mean you need to invent dramatic speeches. It can be as simple as voicing what you're feeling in the moment. Words like, I love this, or you feel incredible, said softly, land with an impact far beyond their literal meaning. Because when you're whispering with presence, he isn't listening for the content, he's feeling the energy. Your voice works like a bridge, tying physicality to emotion, body to mind. Every sound you make is like a trail that lingers in his thoughts, replaying long after the moment is over. And that's the magic of using your voice intentionally. You become unforgettable, not just for what he experienced, but for the way he remembers it later. So the next time you're in intimacy, don't underestimate that subtle art. Lower your tone, let your words come slowly, and realize your voice isn't just sound, it's touch, presence, and influence. Speaking from confidence now, let's address the bigger fear so many women carry. What if I say the wrong thing? This is what holds people back from using their voice. They worry they'll sound awkward. They worry they'll ruin the mood. That kind of self-consciousness can create so much pressure that many women silence themselves altogether. But here's the truth, seduction isn't about perfect lines. It's about ownership. It's not what you say, it's how and why you say it. Confidence in voice starts with honesty. If a genuine, authentic thought crosses your mind, share it. It might be as simple as, I love being this close to you, or you drive me crazy. When said with intention, those words ground you in presence. They don't come across as awkward. They come across as visceral, real, undeniable. And here's an even bigger secret. Vulnerability in your words can be more alluring than scripted smoothness. If you breathe something authentic, whether soft admiration, playful banter, or even a little mischievous laughter, it draws him deeper into you because it can't be faked. This is why I encourage you to reframe speaking as less about dirty talk and more about emotional claiming. Your voice is your way to shape the atmosphere. Speak at your pace in your way and realize it's about leading the moment, not performing for approval. Think of your words like little anchors. Each one secures the connection more firmly. He'll replay them later, sometimes years later, not because they were the most poetic, but because they were unmistakably yours. The key is intention. When you speak from fear, it sounds hesitant. When you speak from presence, even the simplest phrase sounds commanding. So release the pressure of perfection. Ask yourself only, is this true for me right now? If it is, let it flow. Because the most magnetic thing you can ever whisper isn't some rehearsed line. It's the sound of your confidence claiming the moment. From moves to mindset, we've now explored 5 expert moves. But let's pause, because here's something crucial. These moves aren't really about mechanics. They're about mindset, slowing down, using your touch with intention, teasing with anticipation, locking eyes, using your voice. On the surface, they might look like techniques, but underneath, they're doorways into an entirely new way of approaching intimacy. At their root, each move teaches one thing: presence is power, slowness to leadership, touched emotional depth, teasing psychological magnetism, eye contact to trust and claiming, voice influence and memory. The win isn't that you collect tricks, it's that you transform your perspective. You move from, am I doing this right, to, oh, I own this moment. And when that shift happens, intimacy stops being about approval. It stops being about performance. It becomes about self-expression, about freedom, about becoming a woman who doesn't whisper insecurity, but radiates magnetism without trying. That's why I say this isn't about what you do. It's about who you are while you're doing it. The woman who enters intimacy from this mindset carries an energy no tip or surface level skill can ever replicate. So while the techniques are valuable, don't miss the bigger picture. Each one is really a language for confidence, connection, and ownership. Together, they create the mindset of a woman who stops wondering whether she's enough because she knows she is. The woman he never forgets. Every woman has the same quiet fear at some point in her life. What if I'm replaceable? What if I'm forgettable? What if I don't leave a mark? The 5 moves you've just learned prove the opposite. Because unforgettable doesn't come from perfection, from checking off boxes, or from competing with some imagined standard. It comes from presence, from owning your rhythm, your gaze, your voice, from unapologetically claiming the space you're in. Men don't remember flawless performances. They remember energy. They remember the woman who disarmed them with her calm confidence, who teased them just enough to make their brain ache with anticipation, who looked them in the eye and made them feel seen, who whispered something so authentic they can still hear it years later. That's where real power lies. Not in being the best technique, but in being the most authentic presence. That is what turns you from just another experience into the memory that haunts, inspires, and captivates. So here's the empowerment I want to leave you with. You are not replaceable. When you step into your authentic power, there is no comparison. There is no competition, because no one else can be you. And when you bring that truth into intimacy, you don't just attract desire, you ignite obsession. You don't just please him, you transform how he sees you. More importantly, you transform how you see yourself. That in the end is the secret. Unforgettable isn't something you do, it's something you become. We've walked through 5 expert moves together, each one showing you a different doorway into confidence, connection, and magnetism. And now, as we close, I want you to pause, take a breath, and let one truth sink into your heart. Your energy is your power. Throughout this journey, we weren't just talking about slowing down, using touch, teasing, holding eye contact, or whispering. Those were tools, yes, but at their core, each of them was about something much bigger: your ability to anchor yourself in presence. When you slow down, you're telling the moment, I choose the pace. When you use your touch with intention, you're saying, I lead with confidence. When you tease, you're crafting anticipation. When your eyes meet his, you're creating a bond that goes deeper than skin. When you whisper, you're leaving an imprint that lingers inside his very thoughts. Every one of those moves was really teaching you the same lesson, that your magnetism doesn't come from doing more. It comes from owning what you already have: your timing, your rhythm, your gaze, your voice. All of these are extensions of the energy you bring. And when you step into that truth, intimacy transforms from something you perform into something you live. Stops being about whether you measure up and starts being about how much present power you're willing to bring into the room. Because trust me, magnetism isn't about chasing perfection. He won't remember whether you were technically flawless. He'll remember how he felt in your presence. He'll remember the confidence that radiated from you when you slowed down, the spark of mischievousness in your eyes, the way your words made time stop, even if only for a second. And here's where the psychology comes full circle. Your energy isn't just affecting him, it's affecting you. When you walk into intimacy grounded, present, and fearless, you're not only unforgettable to him, you become unforgettable to yourself. You stop replaying doubts and start anchoring memories of empowerment. Each moment becomes proof: I can lead, I can own, I can be magnetic without apology. That's your power. It's not a trick. It's not a role you put on temporarily. It's who you already are, turned up unapologetic, and radiant. So as we close this chapter together, let this be the imprint you carry forward. You don't need to do more. You just need to own more of yourself. And when you do, your presence speaks louder than any single move ever could. Section 8.2 Zion Invitation Forward 400 words. Now that you've taken in these 5 expert moves, and more importantly, the deeper mindset beneath them, I want to leave you with an invitation. This journey doesn't end here. Empowerment, especially in intimacy, confidence, and relationships, is something we keep building together. The women who gather here aren't just viewers, they're part of a community that's rewriting how confidence looks and feels. So if you felt a spark tonight, if something inside you woke up, shifted, or even just softened into curiosity, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with another woman who deserves to feel this same rush of power. Leave a comment sharing what resonated with you, because your words might become the permission someone else was desperately waiting for. And of course, subscribe and stay close to this channel, because here we keep opening doors into the psychology of confidence, intimacy, and attraction. Every week, we peel back another layer, showing you not just the tips, but the truths beneath them, the mindset that makes you magnetic in every area of your life. Your transformation doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when you join voices with a community that uplifts each other, celebrates each other, and refuses to shrink back into shame. That's what we're building here. That's what you're now a part of. So my final words to you are these: keep owning your rhythm, your presence, your gaze, your voice. Keep showing up with curiosity instead of fear, with intention instead of hesitation, and watch what happens. Watch how not only men, but the world itself responds when you step fully into your power. Until next time, stay bold, stay radiant, and never forget your energy is your power.